Welcome to the Yes Show, episode 18, with our special guest, the one and only John Courtis.
Oh my. Good
Thank
morning.
you for being here, John, with your busy schedule.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for sitting in the hot seat, too.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
So we start out, John, with a quote, and Jerry's got a quote for us today, and then we kind of talk around that. So we're going to get started with that. Jerry, what do you think?
Well, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier, and it's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, and basically along the lines is, the honor and the glory goes to those that are in the arena, and not those that are sitting out the arena. And whether you get bloody and battered and you have to pick yourself up from failure doesn't matter. What matters is that you're in the arena. The ones that are out criticizing that aren't in the arena don't matter. And so, it's very fitting, and so if you're going to
why do you think a lot of people out there don't want to get in the fight?
I don't know. I don't know. I think one of the things that where the criticism comes from is because I know people inherently understand they have an infinite amount of potential. When they see people like we were talking about, like Tom Brady, realizing his potential to the fullest extent. The guy was always an underdog.
Yep.
In high school and in college and in the NFL. And in all honesty, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. I'm just saying, but I respect Tom Brady because of what he has overcome and realizing his potential. Was he the most gifted quarterback? No. But if his potential, if 100% was him reaching, everything he could possibly do in life, I would have to say that Tom Brady, at least from a football player standpoint, has to be in the high 90s of reaching his potential.
But the other thing too, and we see this with people, he was coachable.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us are trainable, some of us are not, and some kids are not coachable. So you take someone with some skill, but he was coachable and he was adaptable. And Bill Belichick and those, because they've been together for like 12 or 13 seasons, he was coachable. And that's one of the true elements of greatness is that they're able to adapt, able to change, able to realize, okay, if I'm going to be great, if I'm going to go from good to great, I have to do these certain things.
Absolutely.
And I think, to me, being coachable, being trainable is a huge asset, and it's undervalued. It truly is, because people come, I know everything already. No, not so much. And people want to hate on those folks who are highly successful. They want to hate on people who stick their neck out for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, and again, I think it just has to do with we've talked about multiple times is God or whatever you believe in, your Creator blesses us with just an abundant amount of potential, but it's up to us to capitalize on it.
Yeah. So that's a great quote. We can go on and on the whole show on that one, but just to end on that, I mean, a lot of people out there, they just don't want to engage for whatever reason. And that quote that says everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah.
And that's really the number one thing is between your ears is having that battle and getting in there and fight for your dreams. And we only have a short period of time here, so you might as well go for it.
Well, let me submit this though. When you look at people who are sitting on the sidelines and they'll hate, or sit on the sidelines and they will, throw stones, etc., etc. In my years in sales, it used to be people didn't want to do cold calls for the fear of rejection. I had this fear of rejection. But I'll also admit there's something far more intimate, something far more emotional than the fear of rejection, and it's the fear of embarrassment. I made a great sales call and they turned me down. Now I'm embarrassed because we get rejected from the time we're 2 years old. Can I have a cookie? No. We've been rejected since the time we were like this tall. So it's not the fear of rejection, it's that fear of embarrassment, which is more intimate.
And my 6-year-old proves that fact. He's not afraid of rejection.
Exactly. So
awesome.
So those folks who don't stick their neck out, they have a fear of being embarrassed, of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. So they like a turtle, the head in the shell, because I don't want to be embarrassed, because I don't know, or I don't know all the subject matter, or I've said something ignorant or stupid. So they go away, and they sit in the sidelines and throw stones and they hate.
Yep.
Yeah.
But-
I'm not sure if that's the right answer or not.
No, it's just a kind of an interesting
Yeah.
topic, but
Great topic.
like Edward said, we could delve into that one for quite a while.
Yeah.
But so John, thank you again for coming, and just kind of get the show started off. Can you tell us a little bit about how you grew up, where you grew up, and
Oh,
how
my
you
heavens.
came to be to live in Yuma?
I was born in Long Beach, California, 1954, the middle child of 11, and there was 8 boys and 3 girls.
Wow.
And they would ask my dad, say, "Are you Catholic?" He'd say, "No, I'm a horny Protestant." It was hilarious. But we didn't want for anything. I mean, we in Long Beach, California, we did Disneyland twice a year. We did the beach, did all of those things, and it was a great way to grow up. But being the middle child, you have these neuroses, because the middle child always gets left behind. There's all the things about the middle child. And there's so much commotion going on. There was a set of twins behind me, and Joe just above me was a hellraiser to beat the band. So one day I thought, and there's chaos everywhere, 11 kids. This
Oh,
is,
I can imagine.
So I thought, I'm gonna sit in this closet and wait for someone to miss me.
Did it work?
I got hungry. I mean, that didn't work. But you just realize as the middle child, you have to make your mark, but you also realize that there's a whole lot of commotion going on around you. And it was a great way to grow up, like I said. So I got my first job in the 3rd grade at the local Rexall store, sweeping floors, and filling in the S&H green stamps and the blue chip stamps and that kind of stuff. And then eventually, when I was a sophomore in high school, I was working at a restaurant. I was the sous chef, and then by the time I was a senior, I was the executive chef of a place called Puccini's in Long Beach. And it was a lot of fun, great work. I loved it, but the hours were horrible. So I made a fatal error at the restaurant. I'll tell you off the air what that was. And so the boss tells me to take a week off without pay. Well, when you're 18, you've already spent next week's paycheck.
Sure.
So 2 days later, I was a dispatcher at the local newspaper, Long Beach Press-Telegram, running tear sheets and running proofs. This is before the internet. We had Toyota Net, so you had to get in your car and take an ad proof to a client.
Toyota Net.
So you had to,
Extremely efficient way to do
Exactly.
it, yeah.
But if someone ran an ad and you had to show them a proof, you couldn't transmit electronically. You had to physically take it to them. So I did that and was foreman of that department, then got into sales, and I was in that work for 41 years. And when I left the Los Angeles Times, which was the greatest advertising sales job on the planet, I left to start my own ad agency because I told myself there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way of serving customers. There's got to be a better way of making sure that they have value in what they're doing. There's got to be a better way than this system, this way that the LA Times wanted me to do it. So I started my own ad agency in Southern California, and then doing that for about a year and a half, I thought there's got to be a better way of producing these messages other than the way that they were doing it. So a partner and I, we started a paper in Huntington Beach, and we were very, very successful. Sold it in 1988, and then the company that bought my paper brought me on as their director of sales, and that was a long time ago. And then I was in Prescott for a while, and I was in Tucson for a while. But when we moved to Yuma late in 1999, they wanted me to do something very, very short term with the old Super Shopper. But that was 17 years ago, and I left the paper in 2014 to become the executive director of the Yuma County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm having such a great time doing it. People say, stop saying you're having fun, but I really am. It's important work. I'm glad I'm doing it. I learn something brand new every single day. And what I'm finding out about this job is that you have to stick your neck out. You're gonna have some haters because you're making commitments, but you're making a stand, and you're telling people, here's what the Chamber of Commerce is all about. Less government intrusion, fewer regulations, lower cost of compliance, have government get out of the way, and let's grow our businesses. And it's exciting work. I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm proud of what we accomplish, and I love every single day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great time.
John, that that is an amazing story from start to finish, and how you ended up. I mean, I didn't even know that. I didn't know your extensive entrepreneurial background. Let's dive into that. And I know you're a pro at speaking. You've great presentations.
Thank you.
I want to pick your brain a little bit. I want to get in there who John Courtis is.
There's that much.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I doubt that. Now, growing up, you're very outgoing. You're a driver. Now, how did that John Courtis come about? Going back to you growing up, what did your parents do, and how did you find that drive, and how did you find that motivation? Did you have a hard?
That's weird. No, it was interesting. We were North Long Beach, California. Back then, it was all, Wonder White bread. It was extraordinarily Caucasian. And you look back, when people talk about diversity, and you look back at where you were raised and what it looks like today.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it's United Nations. There's Chinese, Vietnamese, Asians, Mexicans, black, white. It really is diverse. My mom taught diversity before it was even a word. But looking back then, as a young man, I was always looking for jobs, raking the lady next door. If you raked and watered the lawn, it was 35 cents. I got 35 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I had a master charge card when I was a junior in high school, and it was mine.
Wow.
We call it master debt because I wasn't, but again, I'd earned enough money and I was making enough money to have those sorts of things. But I guess I've always stuck my neck out. I was, as a senior in high school, I ran the assemblies. I did the emceeing for the assemblies as a yell leader, as a junior.
So you were always outgoing from the get-go.
Been a knucklehead from the start. I don't know. You don't think about what you're doing when you're doing it. You just get it done. And there's no time for reflection, if you will. I had 2 older sisters. I have 3 older brothers. Mike was the only one that went to Vietnam, and he was the only one in the service. This is a funny story. So Mike goes to Vietnam, and I'm sending him clippings out of the newspaper. We clip out, Lakers box scores, LA Rams box scores, Dodger box scores, and I'd clip out this stuff and just mail it off to him. So he comes home from Vietnam. My brother Pat, who had a different way of life. He told him he was gay, so he couldn't join. And then Joe had a different way of life. He broke his toe the day he was supposed to get enlisted. So by the time they got to me, they said, "This family's crazy." But that was the days of the old lottery system, and every year my number was 30 or less. So I was ready. I was fit. I mean, I could run through that wall if you asked me to. I was running every day and lifting because I did not want to be that guy in boot camp.
Yeah,
that got his butt kicked.
right. Yeah.
They never called me. And maybe there was a signal I was supposed to do something else. But I don't know if there's any driver for that, Edward. It's just sometimes here's a job that needs to be done, and I'm the guy to go do it. Whether it was sweeping the driveway at my parents' house, whether it was taking vacation time at the restaurant to repaint the kitchen. And
so like we were talking off the air, I think, coachability.
Yeah,
You were a good student.
Well, I didn't want to, oddly enough, I'm stubborn. I didn't want to have to be coached. I wanted to think ahead. At the restaurant, Puccini's, the health department came in and cited this was 3 pages of violations. Paint, the corners of the walls were barren, some stuff in the walk-in. So on vacation, my brother Joe and I, we did the work without being told, without maybe getting paid. We just knew it had to be done, so we did it. Here's a job you do. Go do
the
it.
initiative.
Yeah, the initiative. My dad was a hard driver. Had 3 jobs. All of us had butch haircuts until we were juniors in high school. He was a taskmaster, and he really drove work ethic and honesty. He drove work ethics. All of my brothers and sisters are just beasts when it comes to the work that they do.
So you did learn from that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And my mom never had a job outside the home.
Yeah.
With 11 kids.
Yeah, that's 3 jobs.
But you come home from school every day, there'd be a load of laundry on your bed. So I can fold. I fold T-shirts, man. I can fold clothes like nobody's because that's what we did.
You had to.
There was
Mom couldn't do it all by herself.
There's no way. There was no way. But it was a great way to grow up.
Absolutely.
Great way to grow up.
So John, you had also mentioned a couple times in there throughout your career at the LA Times, and then when you started your own paper, the notion that there was a better way to do it, and I got the sense that there was driven by almost a frustration and a desire to kind of take the industry to the next level when you started your business, and also to take your business to the next level. Can you talk about that a little bit?
That is a very huge driver, and Jerry, you're right. Part of it was frustration, and part of it was knowing if you're going to be a good seller, you have to find out what the buyer wants and what drives them, because there's drivers on both sides of that. And being a buyer and a seller in my earlier day, I thought there's got to be a better way to do this. There has to be a better way of getting the message out to the masses, or a message out to individual audiences. There has got to be a better way than the way we're doing it today. Sometimes it would be frustration by protocol. Sometimes it would be frustration with policy or practice. And whenever in my years as a consultant, I forgot to add that in, I would go to small papers, a very small paper in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they're running around following policy, and these people over there are doing something different, and they're following practice. So at the end of the workday, I said, okay, what's the policy on this? So they give me verb and verse of the policy. Okay, thank you. How do you really do it? Well, here's how we really do it. So now here's policy and here's practice. So we spent the next couple of weeks blending those two into procedure. Because if policy says this, because that's what the company wants, but the practice says here's what the customer wants, you got to blend those two and make it procedure so that you can have a better way, and everyone's happier. The customer's happier, the associates are happier, the company is happier, because everybody's making money. But I think there was always just a drive that says, how can you take better care of customers? How can you, at the chamber, I told people a lot, Jerry, this is not my chamber. It's your chamber. So again, it's your chamber of commerce. What do you want it to be? How can it be better for you? And if I've got 750 members, I have 750 different answers of what they want it to be. So I have to figure out there's got to be a better way of making sure you know what you have coming to you as a chamber member, what the chamber can do for you, and conversely, what we can't do. But again, always asking questions and always saying, how can I make it better for you, the customer, or you, the member, or you, the client?
I feel the same way about the community, Yuma. You know, the YRMC Foundation has these great billboards out that say, you know, humanitarian, be the change.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Going out there, well, what do you want to see in the community? You know, what do you want to see in your business? What do you want to see in your neighborhood? You know, and going out and rather than, again, this ties back to what we were talking about earlier, rather than just criticizing, why don't you go out and get in the arena and
be the change.
Be the change, exactly.
Absolutely.
You know, exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's amazing. I find that with great frustration. I mean, I was in a class yesterday, a marketing class that was held by Keller Williams, and I only got the first 2 hours of it, but it was phenomenal. And the gentleman was speaking, and he was talking about Blockbuster Video, and how they just absolutely, the leadership just absolutely ignored the desire of consumers. And how, you know, he went through this analogy and he explained the difference. He's like, yeah, what do you think people, yeah, of course they want to get, you know, when they're at home in their pajamas, they're going to want to get dressed. And then they're going to want to get their kids dressed. And then they're going to want to go load the kids, screaming kids. And then they're going to drive to the store. And then they're going to want to go through the store and then have to read the back of the movie that's covered with a sticker that you can't even read the entire, and then run through the candy aisle and have your kids start, you know, it was just absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
But the guys that found Netflix saw that frustration of people in the market, saw the opportunity because consumers were not happy.
There's got to be a better way.
Exactly.
There's got to be a better way.
And times are evolving so quickly now. Everything is changing so fast that you have to keep in contact with your customer and see what they want, because things are just changing so fast. You can't just say, hey, we made it, high five, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And you dealing with business owners every day, day in and day out, how far away is that mindset, or is it there? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, again, that's really truly a mixed bag, because you have some businesses that are highly evolved. And what's interesting is that those businesses that are highly involved know what to expect out of the chamber. We have a very high level of connectivity. We have a high level of partnership, and that's elevated. Those businesses which are not so evolved are needy. They don't know what they want. They don't know how they want it. So they need more hand-holding. So again, the answer, I wish there was one quick answer to that. But in my years at the newspaper business, the newspaper has evolved and it still has a place. But I saw that coming down the pike when the Times-Picayune Press of New Orleans, they are the first major paper in this country to go to 3 days a week. They do Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, that's it. Okay, and 60 Minutes did a real hatchet job on them. And I'm sitting there watching folding arms, and I said, there's one problem. And so my wife said, what do you mean? They didn't try hard enough. When you have something like the daily newspaper that refused to evolve, refused to understand what consumers want, they didn't try hard enough. Every time I hear about the failure of newspapers, they didn't try hard enough. We had the technology in 1995 in Billings, Montana, where it was developed by a company I was working with, to have 6 different newspapers delivered. So if you were an empty nester, your newspaper had the basic news, but empty nester type of editorial, okay? Hispanic, dual income. I mean, so all of those demographic breakups. We had the technology to do it then, but they said we're making plenty of money right now. Why change?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what Blockbuster thought. They had the opportunity to buy Netflix. They literally had the opportunity to buy Netflix.
No one's going to do that.
No one's going to do that.
Yeah, they didn't try hard enough.
Well, they didn't evolve.
Exactly.
Going back to Netflix, they could have, who really uses DVDs nowadays? I mean, that market is really going down, down, down. Now everything is streaming.
But they've continued to evolve.
But they continue to evolve, yes. They could have been another Blockbuster.
Oh, easy. Well, if you think about it, there was a couple years ago, there was a big issue about whether Netflix was going to be able to continue to be successful. Because now the big push within that industry is they're producing their own movies now. They're producing their own content. They're becoming their own movie production.
Everybody produces content.
Amazon produces
content. That's proven
content.
by that show.
Exactly. I mean, it's just crazy. And so you're talking about in a span of 5 years, it evolved from what Netflix took the movie industry to when basically put Blockbuster out of business. And in 5 years, it doesn't even look the same. And 5 years later, which is crazy.
My content, my way, and that's what everybody has. And when I do my youth leadership, I'll have the kids. I'll say, okay, what was the last magazine you read? So if there's 20 kids in the room, I get 20 different answers. What does your screen?
Or do they say a magazine? What is that?
Well, it's actually they're still reading magazines because they still have, and there's health magazines and surf magazines and fashion magazines. There's all kinds of stuff that they're still reading, right? Even if they don't answer that question, I say, what does your home page of your computer look like? And everyone has a different home screen. So it's my message, my way, my news, my way, my content, my way. It's all individualized. And people that can adapt to that are going to win. Those that can't, they're done.
And the key thing is it's dictated by the consumer now, not the TV, not the cable TV, or not the auto industry or whatever. I mean, we're kind of going off. It's a little bit off topic.
We talked about this earlier too.
Yeah, but you have Elon Musk. The guy is going to create. I mean, he's creating batteries right now for people to be entirely off the grid. So you have things that utility providers and that are good. That the thought of competition was inconceivable. Right. Yeah, but now you have people that are like Elon Musk that are totally disrupting that. So putting your head in the sand and not evolving is not the answer. Evolving, I mean, it's our duty to evolve and become better people.
But that individualized need, it's all about me. Good entrepreneurs will understand that and capitalize on that. So if you're paying attention, then you'll understand, here's something I can capitalize on. It's going to create more entrepreneurs. I truly believe that.
And which is exactly what this country needs. Yeah.
So John, you're not off the hook yet.
Okay.
We kind of went off topic, but we're still on.
With me,
so,
you always will.
Well, so we've got kind of about 7 targets, and we've kind of carpet bombed all of them, sort of. But so I guess probably we talked about what you're currently doing. Let's kind of hit on a little bit some failures that you've had.
Epic.
Yeah.
It's all marketing. Every time you have a marketing failure, it's awful. In Tucson, they have the Casa de los Niños car show. It rivals Midnight at the Oasis. It takes over Reed Park.
It's a great organization.
It's a great organization, and it's a wonderful, wonderful car show. So I was running a paper in Tucson at the time called the Dandy Dime. It was owned by Lee Enterprises, a great company. And I said, here's what we're going to do. They asked for kits, okay, for the drivers of the cars, because they want goodie bags. Sometimes they want money. So you put sunscreen, you put water. So I said, I'm going to get visors. Okay, the women like the slide-on kind, men like the kind that the clasp in the back, blah, blah. And so we'll donate, 500 of those, okay, with the Dandy Dime logo on the side. But I'll buy, 3,000 of them. And that way I'll sell the other 2,500 and make my money back, okay, for $5 a piece, right? I'm thinking this is a great marketing idea. I sold 4 visors. 4. At the end of the car show, I was giving a visor away free for every hot dog that they bought at the stand next door. I mean, I couldn't give these things away, and I thought they were awesome.
Yeah.
And my boss, who, thank goodness, he was in Des Moines, Iowa at the time, says, how'd that car show go for you? And I said, oh, what an epic fail. I mean, because I thought it was a great idea. Great car show, great organizations. I'm going to score.
Yeah.
So doing it all over again, what would you do different? Would you research
I would have, yeah, exactly. You took the word right out of my mouth. I'd have researched and said, okay, what works, what doesn't work? Because I thought it was a great idea.
What does the consumer want?
What does the consumer want? Because again, it's October, it's Tucson, there's still plenty of sunshine, still plenty of heat. And I had the really cool, the Terry slide-on visors at the whip. Dud. But I have a bigger failure than that. Bigger. I have my paper in Huntington Beach called The Super Saver. We were direct mailing 190,000 copies a week. Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley, Westminster, Garden Grove, and Stanton. And a guy from KDOC, which was Orange Coast College, had a little TV station. It was a PBS. And his name was Matt. I'll never forget him. Face more pockmarks than me. Anyway, he walks up and says, I got this idea. And now this is 1986. I got this idea. We're going to take your best retailer one a week, and we're going to put their merchandise up on the stage, and we'll talk about it, and people will call in and they'll buy it, and then we'll deliver it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
kind of like a QVC type
Stop it. It was the forerunner to QVC. And he's a billionaire, and I was there, and I couldn't, but I stop it. I could not get out of my own way of ink on paper to this idea at Orange Coast College of having merchandise on television, on a PBS station no less, and that was the forerunner to the Home Shopping Network and QVC.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Stop it. I mean, I wouldn't be here had I said, yeah, I'm all in.
Well, lucky for us.
That's
well,
right.
I guess.
But that goes into, you follow Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yes.
Okay, so Gary Vaynerchuk, and I listened to 90% of the interview, but so essentially he has the same story, and his story is with Uber.
Yeah.
And he was buddies with, I guess, the founders of Uber who were, and Gary's
still great friends.
Yeah. And basically Gary Vaynerchuk's like, yeah, these guys are goofballs. They're sleeping on my couch, being knuckleheads.
Sofa surfing.
And they're like, hey, we got this great idea. San Francisco was the first place to launch. I think it was like 50 grand. If you would have invested 50 grand, I think it'd be worth, I don't know, 15 billion.
More than 50 grand, yeah.
15 billion or 10 billion, or it was in the billions, right? And but he goes and he basically in this interview just says, hey, I'm an idiot. I took it. Hey, here I am.
But see, Matt came back several months later. He goes, I had the King of Solid Oak, I had portable spas. I mean, I had all kinds of retail. My competitor had no retail. They had all services. I had retail advertising in my publication because that's what he was coveting. He gave me a second bite at the apple several months later. I still thought he was a moron. So he gave me a second chance.
Yeah.
I just couldn't see past ink on paper, direct mail, and I just couldn't see outside, yeah.
It's all right. Hey, it happens.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm in therapy, not. But everybody has that story.
So you lost and Yuma gained.
It swung and missed.
Yeah.
It was not meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was not meant to be.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So John, you wear many hats. You're so busy and you do so much for a community.
Thank you.
Other than that, what do you do on your free? What are you passionate about on your free time? What do you do? Anything else that
Wow.
on your
I help out the Yuma Youth Leadership. I talk about that. Next week is the Media and the Arts Day. I get to chaperone 26 highly motivated high school juniors to the all the media outlets in town, and I love the fact that we got that going again. The Yuma County Chamber of Commerce is going to bring back the Adult Leadership Program that stopped in 2009. It's a great way to learn about our community. It's wonderful. The American Cancer Society Relay for Life. I'm a survivor, and I was relaying before I ever had cancer. We lost my father-in-law, we lost my sister. There's too many people. My stepdaughter is a leukemia survivor. I'm a survivor, and it really consumes a lot of my time, effort, and passion, by the way. We help people that we'll never meet, and I'm lucky to have survived it back in 2004. But when you relay and you raise money, and when you find out that it affects one of your family members, my brother-in-law, we went to a Cardinals game back in 2013 against the Falcons, by the way, the Cardinals won. Anyway, so he goes, it's really weird. I press on this side of my neck, and it hurts over here. So you can get that checked out. Well, they cut him open with all kinds of cancer. But 6 weeks at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, and he and his wife stayed at the Hope Lodge, paid for by the American Cancer Society. 6 weeks, no charge, because he had chemo, radiation every single day. So, and they live in Havasu. So, when you stop and think that those benefits of what we do for raising money, a lot of it goes to research, a lot of it goes to helping people, everyday people that need a hand. 6 weeks of a hotel in Scottsdale, we're talking $25,000.
It's crazy.
But it was absolutely free, paid for by the work that we do.
Well, and the ability to keep a family together in that time when, I mean, being connected and close is part of the healing process, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I've got 8 grandkids, a beautiful wife, and again, this job, there's a lot of late nights, the city council meetings, there's meetings after hours. I'm really passionate about just doing it right. You know, I beat myself up pretty bad when I know I didn't do it right. I am my own worst critic, my own worst nightmare. I talk to myself in the mirror a lot. It's scary, but I mean, but
as long as you don't answer back.
Oh, I've done that too.
Oh.
But I think we are our own worst critics, and sometimes we can be our own worst enemies too, because you know when you hit a home run, and you know when you struck out.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, you're kidding yourself. So don't ever lie to yourself, because that's a bad thing. But I'm really passionate about things like this. You're talking to the young guns. You're the leaders of Yuma. I'm an old guy. We pass the baton to folks who are energized like yourselves, and leave Yuma a much better place.
That's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Very busy man. How do you keep your schedule in check? What routines do you have?
Oh, every now and again I don't, but I have a Word document. I change my calendar daily. I communicate it out to Kelly and Cheryl at the office, and to my wife. I've also learned sometimes to say no. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Here's an example. Relay for Life. We wanted to infiltrate, if you will, the RV parks. Country Roads does a mini relay. They do a great job. They have a 6-hour event, and they have chili cook-offs, and they have dance contests, all kinds of stuff. They raise probably $20,000. So we wanted to replicate that with other RV parks. Lynn Young at Encore at Sunny Sands, John Heydrich at Shangri-La, Dorothy Caldwell at Kokopah. If we could get this thing replicated, we could really do great things. So I said, look, I'll coordinate the meeting, I'll get everybody together, but I can't run it. They were hoping I would run it, but I said, I can't.
That's a skill. That's really hard to do, though, right?
Oh, saying no is
Saying
really
no.
hard.
Especially to that, you're so passionate about that cause.
I can't do that. So learning how to say no is probably the one thing I've had to teach myself the last 2.5 years. I love to MC events. I've had to say no to MC offers because, again, I'll do it for some nonprofits, but for a for-profit organization, I can't MC your event. Because I like that's something I have fun at. Because you had this personality test when you go for a job.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of these at the LA Times, and it says, okay, I should be a game show host, or drive an ice cream truck. But anyway, I like doing this because that makes me happy. But I've had to say no to those things as well. I can't.
So hard, especially when you're passionate.
And I have fun at it. Yeah. So
yeah.
I've had to turn those things down. So our youth. One of the things I get to MC is Unison Rotary Club, their sports banquet of the year. We're talking, these are all high school folks that do a great job in the classroom and on the field of play. So I get to participate in that.
That's a fun event.
Yeah, it's a great event, and Rotary does a great job putting that together, as does the Sun. But yeah, and I think if you survive cancer, you become passionate about being alive. It's a good place to be.
Wow.
If you make it so. If you tell yourself this is great, it's going to be great. If you tell yourself this stinks, it stinks. Life
that may be a key to a happy life.
Life is a series of self-fulfilling prophecies.
Oh,
and
man.
people don't realize that.
You guys catch that?
That's great
Life
stuff.
is a series of self-fulfilling
So
prophecies.
we do have one more thing, and it's one of the reason that Edward and I wanted to create this show and this nonprofit is we know that there's people that are listening, hopefully listening, and will be listening in the future, and they're sitting on the couch, they're at home, they've got this wonderful idea, they're paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. What's one piece of advice you could give for them?
Do some research, but also talk to successful people. I got this idea, what do you think? I got this idea, what do you think? I got this idea, what do you think? This isn't a failure, but it also kind of helped me understand that I didn't know everything. Before we came to Yuma, Deb and I were going to put together a paper in Prescott. And I put together the business plan. I had all my documentation, all my research, I had everything. It was terrific. My assumptions were right on, and so were my financials. I was ready to go. I thought, let's give this to one other group. So I took it to SCORE. This is retired executives. SCORE is a great organization, and there's a good chapter in Prescott. So I took the business plan to them. I said, look this over and tell me what you think. I said, come back in a week. So I come back in a week, and he says, great assumptions, great financials, you're ready to rock, but you're going to fail. What do you mean I'm going to fail? I'm a marketer, okay? I'm an advertising guy. I know how to do that. How much money did I allocate in my financials for marketing? Zero. What a huge, I learned a lot. You can think you know everything, but ask the question, what do you think? And then listen to the answer. So if you're sitting out there thinking, I may have an idea, sitting out there going, I wonder, don't be afraid to ask. Find a friend, find somebody successful, ask the question. And they will be your biggest fan. They will be your biggest cheerleader. They'll be your biggest person that will support you and guide you and help you and get you to that place. But ask. Don't be afraid to ask. You've seen people they're afraid to ask to get a loan for a building. I'm afraid they're going to say no. Ask. I'm afraid it's not going to work. Ask. I'm afraid it won't work. Ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Seriously.
Awesome.
Ask the question.
That is phenomenal advice.
Ask the question.
Yes. Well, we want to thank you again, John.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking me.
Yeah.
We asked.
Yeah.
I
That's
said
right.
yes.
Well, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week and have an awesome week.
Have a great day. Bye.